The revolution's begun. The time to stand up has come. We are the rocking of the throne. We are the rocking of the throne.
Hi, my name is Kelly Lane, and I am with Citizens Against Plutocracy, and I am here also interviewing Marcia Squier, who is an independent running for Michigan's 14th district in Macomb County, and she has signed the contract for renewal. Do I have something?
Actually, I ran that race in 2016.
I'm so sorry. Okay, wait. All right. Correct that then, please.
I'm running for U.S. Senate in Michigan. It's a statewide race.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So, let's see. We'll start with okay. So, CFAR is a contract for American Renewal, which is basically 80% Bernie's platform. It is a populist agenda, and I will let you go ahead and say what made you sign CFAR, and what advantage do you think it might give you where you're running?
So the reason I signed CFAR is, for one, because I know that it's a grassroots movement of regular people. It is, citizens against plutocracy. It has not been co-opted. So they are people I know and trust, and they presented me with this contract for American Renewal several months back with, a lot of the things that many of us agree on, such as, getting the money out of politics or closing the tax loopholes and forcing the corporations to pay their fair share, things like that, ending the, wars in the Middle East. Things that a majority of Americans support. The problem is our current politicians, the incumbents, the oligarchy, is taking money from these corporations. So essentially their hands are tied when it comes to real reform in DC. So the beauty of this contract is that I pledged my, my first 180 days in office to getting these things done as a matter of, national priority. And, if I don't, then after 180 days, then my contract would expire. And so it's really great for me to be able to pledge that to the citizens of Michigan and of the United States, because I do have support across the country at this point. I've been running for the better part of a year now, and I've gotten quite a following, and I know that once the public finds out about the CFAR contract, that even more people will learn about me and my campaign, and that I'm all for the public taking a more direct role in governing. We need more citizen candidates like myself to help really turn things around in Washington. People like me that aren't tied to the corporate lobbyists.
Right. And Citizens Against Plutocracy was behind the Bernie or Bust movement. I know you were a big Bernie supporter, right?
Yeah, I'm Bernie or Bust.
Yes. Right. And so the CFAR pledge works kind of the same way in that it's you elect a progressive that pledges to voters to actually follow through on these items, or lose to the Republican. We're not going to support neoliberals that say they're going to support populist items and then don't because they're backed by corporate money. So I know you are trying to raise money, but you had a goal to raise the least amount, I think you mentioned before.
Yeah, I want to be the record holder for the least amount of money raised to win a U.S. Senate seat. And then I'll write a book about it so more people can follow my lead and help us take over Washington and take our power back.
Right, right. And it really is more about word of mouth now, it seems like. You know, we have social media to connect and to get the word out about, you know, what you stand for. And I think people are a little bit burned after even donating to Bernie's campaign. And a lot of people were very upset about him then supporting Hillary. But so how are you, how have you been promoting CFAR? Are you sharing that with people where you live? Or you're promoting on social media also?
Yeah, I've recently become an official CFAR candidate. So, and I'm launching my petition drive to gather signatures. My final phase of signature gathering starts January 20th.
Mm-hmm.
So I plan to launch my petition drive and the CFAR strategy kind of side by side with each other.
Mm-hmm.
On January 21st, I will be in Lansing at the foot of the Capitol for the Women's March. They're featuring all the female candidates of Michigan up and down the ballot. Not every party is invited. They did invite me, so I will be there, and I will be talking about the CFAR strategy and having a meet and greet afterwards. I guess we can't collect signatures during the march because it's a 501c3 or something, but I'm planning on holding like a meet and greet afterwards where we can do that off the foot of the Capitol.
Right, right. And one of the fact that this is a populist agenda, really, I think is very important. And I actually want to share the screen just for a moment because I personally have the Macomb County where you are was where my grandparents lived for 31 years, and also so personally, it means a lot to me for this to be my first interview. But of a CFAR candidate. But also politically, I find Macomb County so interesting because it is one of those counties. I'll just put up this map for just a minute. Let's see. Should there? It's one of the places that flipped from Obama to Trump. And we have, you know, so much talk now about identity politics and, you know, that all people that supported Trump are racist, misogynist. And I think it's important to see this because it does show us that in a lot of cases, especially in areas where there have been a lot of job loss for trade policies, because of trade policies, that, you know, it really was, it's about economics, and I think this just shows that here. Macomb was one of the, let's see, more than 20 points. So I think that's very important. Okay, so let's see. Were there any? Would you say that there are particular items on CFAR that are of more importance to voters in Michigan than others, or what ones stand out to you the most?
I would say the trade agreements clause that we would seek to get ourselves out of the bad trade agreements that we're in and not get into any other ones. I think, you know, when the CFAR strategy first was coming about was because of the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and the TISA, and the TTIP, and the CETA, and there's a whole bunch of them out there that the American public doesn't know about, that a lot of them will give our sovereignty away in favor of corporations, you know, where corporations can sue municipalities for prevention of future profits. So they can't even prove how much profit they could make. They would just have projections of how much profit they can make. And if your environmental law in your town prevents them from an oil well, they can just sue your town. And there's a tribunal with corporate people appointed to the tribunal, not elected, and you know whose side they're going to be on is the corporations over the sovereignty of government. You know, that should never happen. And these corporate politicians that we have are doing these things behind closed doors. They don't even want us to know about it because they're so bad for our country. And so, and Michigan knows because of NAFTA what happened. You know, Ross Perot predicted it, the giant sucking sound of jobs moving out. It happened, you know, and that was right around the time I became an adult, a young adult. And so I have basically struggled ever since to make ends meet because I live in Metro Detroit, and Macomb County is the most diverse of the Tri-County area, you know, versus Oakland or Wayne County.
Right.
You know, we're a good mix of everybody, and I would say Macomb County is very diverse. And, you know, there is like a cutoff line, you know, they get the northern half and the southern half, but it's not a very big county. So, you know, there's a lot of intermingling of the communities, and we all get along just fine. So they just didn't really fall for the identity politics that the corporate Democrats like to do. And, you know, Hillary basically ignored Michigan, and Trump really appealed to the Michigan voters. He was here a lot, you know, and I didn't vote for him personally, but I know a lot of people that did, and a lot of them did vote for Obama previously, and they were just very disillusioned with the Democratic Party and with what happened during the primaries and NAFTA and, you know, the crime bill from the Clinton era. It's just, you know, Michigan was not a fan of Clinton in the primaries or in the general.
And so running as an independent, you feel like you will attract people from both sides that will pay attention to your stance on the issues, right?
Yeah, I see that happening a lot. You know, I was never a registered political party member until 2016. I joined the Green Party to run for the U.S. House 14th District that you had mentioned, because the day I joined was the day after Bernie endorsed Hillary, and I made it my personal mission to run against superdelegates until they're all out of office, because 7 of them in Michigan, well, they all unanimously voted for the losing candidate. Bernie won Michigan. And all of them, 17, I think, is the number. I've found a couple different sources, voted against him. 7 of those were our top 5 Democrats, the 2 senators and 5 House Democrats. So that was just, for me, a wake-up call. I ran against them. But now that I have time, back then I didn't have time to get on the ballot any other way. In my heart, and what I've always been is an independent person. I've had a job since I was 9 years old just because I like being independent, and I don't like being dependent. So I find that, you know, a lot of parties, you end up with the infighting and the power grabs and the fundraising mills for the rich and powerful, and all that's just a big turnoff for me and a lot of Americans. You know, Michigan's a really divided state right now. We've recently swung red. We've been blue for decades. But that just shows you, you know, like, it was a really close race, too, like within about 10,000 votes or whatever. 20, I don't know. It was, you know, that there was a recount and everything that got stopped. But it just tells me that Michigan's very divided right now. And a lot of people voted for the lesser evil. Not all of those people that voted for Trump actually supported Trump. Plenty of them do, but a lot of them were trying to stop Hillary. And vice versa. A lot of people that voted for Hillary were trying to stop Trump because of all the propaganda we're getting from the media. You know, and I appreciate that Trump talks about the fake media, but I just disagree with his verbiage. I wish he would start calling it what it is, which is the corporate media, corporate-owned media, and he needs to start talking about that Telecommunications Act of 1996. The one that Clinton signed into law that created the monopolies that we're living in. You know, so the people that voted for Trump can see that, I agree with these, issues. A lot of us agree on the left and the right, but we're getting torn apart and we're getting divided by these partisan fighting.
Right.
So running as an independent has really enabled me to be able to draw support from all sides and no side. A lot of people in Michigan are independent. The last time we had an independent candidate for U.S. Senate was 1988. It's been 30 years since before the internet. And there's a lot we can do to help get the word out, just by sharing the post to your friends or in your favorite Facebook group or on Twitter. All of it's free, and free is the best price.
Yes, absolutely.
Any help that you guys can give me to help get the word out, I will be very grateful, and I love you forever. I love all the people. I'm not a big fan of the 1%, but my heart is definitely here with you guys.
Well, being independent, that's part of why I've got involved as an activist with CFAR. I wanted to avoid the party fighting, and be able to just focus on the issues. And so I do want to mention, if anyone is watching that's interested in becoming involved as an activist, maybe where you are or anywhere, you can go to CFAR2018.us, and I'm sorry, that's the candidate contract. Sorry, CFARmovement.us is where the activists go, and you can pledge or register there, and there's a tutorial. And there will be more stuff coming, and we're going to have regular meetings for activists who want to get involved. Let's see. Is there any?
And I have a spreadsheet of candidates as well that I keep in my Facebook group called #YourNameForOffice 2018.
I saw that.
So anyone who's watching is welcome to go there and check out the spreadsheet and lobby your local, citizen candidate to sign the CFAR contract and get involved.
Yes, we have 11 Dems, 3 Independents, and 3 Green, I believe, is the current tally, and hoping to get more. And really, it's just having candidates that if they're claiming that's their platform, that you're just basically signing to agree to uphold those with the voters. It's really not radical. It's just it's committing to do what you said you're going to do. So
right, because apparently taking an oath isn't enough for us anymore. We actually kind of need to have it in writing.
Exactly. Yes.
The way we're being treated, it's about time we get it in writing.
Right, and these contracts actually have a history of working. Republicans have used them in the past. But in the House of Representatives, I think it was Newt Gingrich. And this is when I was younger, but and also I know Grover Norquist had a pledge that was like no taxes, but it does work because more and more voters now are actually paying attention and watching what their elected officials are doing. So I applaud what you're doing and hope we can help get you more exposure and get more people on your side voting for you.
Yeah, and I also want to say thank you for the interview. I appreciate our independent media. We have to create our own new fourth estate. Mm-hmm. We don't need that mainstream media anymore. We have each other, and we need to rely on that. It's, support small channels like this, because this is where the real news is, not the corporate canned news of what they're telling us we need to know.
Absolutely, yes. Actually, I do want to mention one other thing. It's in the works. It's not on the CFAR contract yet, but we because I think it's important to point out that I said all the items are populist items, and that means that they've all been poll tested. They're all supported by over 50% of the population. So it is definitely a populist agenda. We're looking for polling to support that people overwhelmingly do not trust our election system. So once we kind of know that that's there, on the right, I think maybe people think a lot of dead people are voting, and on the left, it's our elections are hacked by Putin. So we know that the public
Or voter
distrust.
suppression, right? But
Well,
that's in the party with superdelegates, which is the epitome of voter suppression.
absolutely. So we know. I think it's pretty obvious that the public feels this way. We just would like to add it officially to the contract. But on that note, I wondered if you wanted to speak on that at all. I think recently it's wonderful that Tim Canova has been vocal about what happened in Florida in his race with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and that they're actually taking some action on that. And I wondered if you just wanted to add anything here about anything that you experienced um, with voter irregularities, we'll call them.
Okay, so I would say of all the issues, election integrity is probably at the forefront for me. It's one of the main reasons I am running because our voting machines are banned in Europe. Michigan went through a partial recount in 2016, and it was revealed that a lot of the unrecountable precincts were the precincts that the ballots didn't match the printed totals. Some had too many, some not enough. Some were stored in garbage cans with duct tape. It was just crazy. That was all in districts where Hillary won 95% of the vote. So I did learn that. Then we get a whole bunch of new machines for the entire state of Michigan. Okay? This is because of the Help America Vote Act of 2002. We need to repeal and replace that law. Now we've got the NSA coming in and saying that they're going to take over because the election systems is important to national security, so they're coming in and taking over. Now we need the citizen oversight. We don't need government oversight. We need citizen oversight, because now with these brand new machines, the city clerk race in 2017 for Detroit city clerk, Janice Winfrey was in a lot of hot water last year after it was revealed that all those precincts were unrecountable in her city. She won her re-election by like 1,000 votes. And so her challenger, Garland Gilchrist II, filed for a recount. They did a partial recount, I believe, and the same thing happened. A whole bunch of precincts were determined to be unrecountable. So to me, that was just a huge waste of money for the entire state of Michigan to have to buy these new machines, and we still have the exact same problems, and the exact same Detroit city clerk is still sitting in her office. So I know these things are going on, and I want the American, especially the voters in Michigan, to know that I'm not afraid to talk about it. I don't take any corporate money, so I can speak my mind about it.
Right.
And I am willing to file for recounts in any and all suspicious precincts. I'm even considering reaching out to my fellow nominees. There isn't any right now because the primary hasn't taken place yet, but the eventual nominees from all the other parties to join me in a pact to fight it no matter what, because the 2016 election revealed only the second place candidate can file for a recount now. So whoever comes in second place has to be the one to do it. And I'd love to come in first place, and I'd love to come in second place, but I really want all the candidates for U.S. Senate in Michigan to stand together and say that we want to know what the true vote is, because the recorded vote is never equal to the true vote.
Well, thank you so much for taking that stance. And this is what I hear over and over again from everyone. It's, they want to see election integrity top of the list. And it will take people like you and Tim Canova, daring to, because they get smeared when they dare say there's anything funny here. I mean, the articles put out about Tim Canova recently, that just even questioning it somehow was wrong. So anyway, I hope that we do add that very soon. And thank you so much for joining me. And is there anything else you want to add? Is there a place where people can donate to your campaign? I know you're trying to do it on, you said $49.99. Was that it?
Yeah, I'm a little over 1,200 right now in
Okay.
about 11 months. So I'm right on track to stay under that 5,000 mark. I chose that because that's the point at which I have to file for the FEC.
Mm.
I have 15 days after that point. But I did make it into the Free Press and MLive because I emailed the guy at the Free and he added it to the previous article. But so it's been officially reported on, even though I haven't filed with the FEC. But if you do want to donate, my donation site I use is crowdpack.com. I'm the independent candidate for U.S. Senate in Michigan. You can search me there by that title, or you can search by state and by race, or however you want to do it. It's pretty user friendly, and you can go there. And if you can't donate, I totally understand. Half of America doesn't even have $500 in their pocket, right in their bank account. So if you could at least endorse my campaign on that site, they will publish it to my profile there, and that will help to spread the word.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Marcia.
You have a great night.
You too. Good night.
Revolt Against Plutocracy won't just be covering the news about the necessary revolution in the United States. Sometimes we'll be making the news. If you want to stay on top of the revolutionary actions and strategies of grassroots, genuine progressives, and our allies, please subscribe to our YouTube channel today.